Hey, welcome back to this channel, Army. If you're watching this right now, it means you already know something truly extraordinary just happened. Something that made the entire music world stop for a moment. Something that sent the biggest international media outlets racing to write their headlines. And something that we have all been waiting for together for a very long time. The world has just witnessed a historic moment. BTS, 7 young men from South Korea who were once looked down upon, who were once laughed at for daring to dream too big, have just shattered every record in existence. And the two names being spoken the most loudly over these past few days? RM and Jimin. So hold on for just a second. Take a breath. Because what I'm about to tell you today is not just ordinary news. This is history, and you are a witness to it. Stay until the very end, because there are facts here that are guaranteed to give you chills. Alright, let's start from the beginning. After nearly 4 years away, after mandatory military service, after each member pursued their own solo projects, BTS has officially made their comeback as a complete group. On March 20th, 2026, their new album titled Arang was released to the entire world. And the world's reaction to this album was nothing short of staggering. The album Arang exploded straight to the top of the Billboard 200 with 641,000 equivalent album units in its very first week in the United States, the biggest number of the year 2026, and the largest debut for any group since Billboard began measuring by units in December 2014. Wait, 1 week, 641,000 units. That is not a normal number, Army. That is a number that even top artists around the world need weeks to achieve. The album also recorded physical sales of approximately 532,000 copies, including more than 208,000 of those in vinyl format. A breathtaking achievement in an age dominated by streaming. And that's still not everything. Alongside the album, their lead single, Swim, immediately rocketed to the top as well. Swim became the 1,190th #1 song in the entire history of the Billboard Hot 100 and entered as the 89th song ever to debut directly at the summit, a feat achieved by only 7% of all songs that have ever led the chart. 7% out of thousands of songs. And BTS is right there. With this achievement, BTS now leads as the group with the most #1 songs on the Hot 100 in this entire decade. And looking at all groups across all of history, BTS now sits in 5th place for the most #1s ever, behind the Beatles, 20, the Supremes, 12, the Bee Gees, 9, and the Rolling Stones, 8. BTS mentioned in the same sentence as the Beatles. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, let's talk about the first person who is at the center of our focus today, Kim Namjoon, known to the world as RM. Many people call RM one of the most intellectually gifted K-pop idols to have ever existed. An IQ of 148. Fluent in English, entirely self-taught. He has addressed the United Nations General Assembly, not once, but 3 times, in 2018, 2020, and 2021. And he did it not as a decorative figure, but as an official envoy of South Korea. But in 2025 and 2026, the world's recognition of RM as a solo artist has truly exploded to a new level. At the 2025 American Music Awards, RM took home the award for Favorite K-pop Artist, a recognition from the American music industry of his individual contributions as a solo performer. But that is only the beginning. RM became the first BTS member to release a solo studio album and debut in the top 3 of the Billboard 200 with his album Indigo. He also became the first BTS member to top the Billboard Rap Albums chart with Right Place, Wrong Person. And here is the fact that made ARMY cry tears of pride. His song, Wildflower, became the first track by a Korean soloist to reach #1 on Billboard digital song sales without an English-language version. In Korean, at the top of an American chart, without a single word of English. If that is not proof of something extraordinary, I honestly do not know what is. Then came news that shook the industry even further. For the 2026 Grammy Awards, RM reportedly submitted Neva Play, his collaboration with Megan Thee Stallion. The song debuted at number 36 on the Billboard Hot 100, hit the top 10 on the Global XCL US chart, and reached #1 on iTunes in more than 70 countries. A collaboration between a Korean rapper and one of the biggest American rappers alive today? That is not just a song. That is a bridge between two worlds. Among all the BTS members who submitted music for Grammy consideration in 2026, RM is described as having the strongest shot, thanks to the crossover appeal of the collaboration and its strong visibility in the US market. And here is what really gives you chills. In June 2025, RM was officially selected as the global ambassador for Samsung Art TVs, a role launched in tandem with his participation at Art Basel in Basel 2025, one of the most prestigious art exhibitions in the entire world. RM is not only a musician, he is an artist in the fullest, most profound sense of the word, and the world has finally acknowledged that. As of June 2025, RM has 231 songs registered under his name by the Korea Music Copyright Association, making him the youngest and second most credited songwriter in Konka history. 231 songs. A man in his late 20s, with his name on 231 officially registered works. This is a creative legacy that will endure for decades to come. If RM is the mind of BTS, then Park Jimin is its soul. And the last few years have proven something that ARMY has long believed with their whole hearts. Jimin is one of the greatest performers to have ever emerged from the Korean music industry. Let's start with the achievement that has the whole world talking. Jimin recently claimed first place in the top 100 Best Male Dances 2026, voting conducted by global voting platform Beam. And this marks the 8th consecutive year he has taken the #1 position in this category since 2019. 8 years in a row. 8 years. There is not a single other artist who comes close to that level of consistency. And as if that were not enough, Jimin also ranked first in the Best Dancer vote on global voting app Kuki, with a total of 2,173,584 votes and 94% support. 94%. There was practically no competition. American Billboard once described Jimin as the king of modern dance. He is evaluated as performing like a work of art, with delicate emotional expressions and stage presentations perfectly tailored to each song, mastering not only modern dance, but virtually every genre he touches. But Jimin is far more than just a dancer. He is a singer whose records speak for themselves. Jimin holds the record as the fastest male solo K-pop artist to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify, and his song Promise still holds the record as the most streamed track in SoundCloud history. Think about that. 1 billion streams. And Promise was not even an official release. It was a gift he gave freely to ARMY on Christmas Day, and it remains the most played song in SoundCloud history. As a solo artist, Jimin achieved his first #1 debut on the Billboard Hot 100 with Like Crazy in April 2023, a moment that made the entire K-pop world stop and stare. He also topped both the Billboard Global 200 and Global XCL US charts with Who. And what makes all of this even more special? Jimin accomplished much of this while also fulfilling his mandatory military service. Even from inside the barracks, his legacy continued to flow outward. In 2018, after Jimin performed a traditional Korean fan dance at the Melon Music Awards, he received an official award from the Kim Baekbong Fan Dance Preservation Society, the guardian of a Korean national intangible cultural heritage, in recognition of his contribution to preserving and promoting traditional Korean dance to the entire world. A K-pop idol receiving recognition from a traditional cultural preservation institution. That is the moment where pop culture and national heritage met, and Jimin was the bridge between them. And in 2026, Jimin's name continues to surface in the context of major international recognition. Jimin has earned nominations at the Japan Music Awards 2026 across multiple categories, with the ceremony scheduled for June 13, 2026 at the Toyota Arena in Tokyo. Now, let us step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. Because it is not only RM and Jimin who have left the world stunned. This is the story of how 7 young men rewrote the map of the global music industry entirely. As of 2026, BTS holds more than 25 Guinness World Records, including records for most viewers for a music concert live stream, best-selling album in South Korea, and numerous social media engagement milestones. And speaking of awards, BTS has received more than 500 awards, including 67 Daesangs, the highest honor in the Korean music industry, a record in South Korean history. BTS is the only artist ever to have swept all major daesang categories at the top Korean music festivals for multiple consecutive years. BTS is the only foreign artist to have achieved as many consecutive wins in these categories and to receive as many honors in a single ceremony. They have also been named to the Time 100 list in 2019 and are the youngest recipients of the South Korean Order of Cultural Merit. Speaking of government recognition, in July 2021, South Korean President Moon Jae-in appointed BTS as special presidential envoys for public diplomacy. 7 singers becoming official diplomats of a nation. When did you last hear of anything like that? And returning to the comeback, with Arang, BTS also recorded the highest physical sales ever achieved by a group in the modern era tracked electronically by Illuminate since 1991. Surpassing the record previously held by One Direction with Midnight Memories in 2013. One Direction held that record for more than 12 years. BTS broke it in a single week. Throughout the 2020s decade, BTS is the group with the most #1 songs on the Hot 100. And now, with Swim, they officially hold 7 #1s on the Hot 100, placing them in the same sentence as the Beatles, the Supremes, and the Bee Gees in the history of popular music. Now let me tell you about something that goes beyond the numbers. Because behind all of these records, there are moments that genuinely touch the heart. When Swim reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, RM wrote on his Instagram story, "Sending my love and gratitude," and Jimin said simply and sincerely, "Army won the award." In the middle of all the praise and the world spotlight, Jimin still said, "It is Army who won." Not him, not BTS, but Army. This is a bond that cannot be explained with ordinary words. And the fanbase responded in extraordinary fashion. When Billboard announced Swim at #1 on the Hot 100, related posts immediately surpassed 3.2 million tweets in a single day. Billboard's official announcement post received 38,000 retweets and 270,000 likes within hours. Across the entire world, from Jakarta, Seoul, London, New York, Sao Paulo, Army lit up purple lights, cried together, and celebrated the moment they had been waiting years for. BTS also appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon on March 25th and 26th, 2026, performing Swim before millions of American viewers, a performance that immediately went viral and trended across every global platform. And for those who could not be there in person, Netflix released BTS The Comeback Live Arang on March 21st, 2026, a comeback concert special that allowed Army all around the world to experience this historic moment together from wherever they happened to be. This was not simply a comeback. This was a global reunion, a celebration between 7 artists and millions of souls who had been waiting patiently. Now, Army, it is time for the facts that will really give you goosebumps. The ones that perhaps have not been widely covered in the media yet. The first fact about RM. RM is the youngest person and the second most credited songwriter in the entire history of KOMCA, the Korea Music Copyright Association. With 231 songs registered under his name, he surpasses many senior Korean musicians who have been in the industry far longer than he has. Think about that, not as part of a group, but as an individual. RM has already built a musical legacy comparable to artists who have been working twice as long as him. The second fact about Jimin. Jimin has won the Best Male Dancer global vote for 8 consecutive years since 2019. Not a single other K-pop artist comes close to that level of sustained dominance in the dance category. 8 years. From before the pandemic all the way through to 2026. Even while he was serving in the military, the world still chose him as the best. The third fact, about the album Arang itself. On the Arang album, 13 out of 14 songs simultaneously entered the Billboard Hot 100 in the same week. The only track that did not chart is called Number 29, and it was not because of insufficient streams, but because the track is simply a recording of the chime of the divine bell of King Songdik, a historic bell from Korea's ancient Silla dynasty, which was disqualified because it does not meet the criteria for a song. Even a piece of Korea's ancient historical silence nearly made it onto the American charts. BTS is truly playing a different game entirely. The fourth fact, BTS was the first K-pop act ever to be nominated for a Grammy Award, a thick wall they finally broke through after the international music world had turned a blind eye for years. The fifth fact, about a world that has changed beneath BTS's feet. When BTS made their comeback, Billboard had already altered its chart methodology since 2022, including reducing the weight of digital downloads per user, excluding direct-to-consumer digital single sales, and in 2026 removing YouTube data entirely from calculations, a change that historically disadvantages K-pop artists who rely heavily on video streaming. With all of those handicaps in place, no YouTube, no D2C sales, BTS still exploded to number 1 with 641,000 units. Just imagine what those numbers would have looked like if none of those rules had changed. Now, let us pause from all the numbers and records for just a moment, because there is something more important than all the Billboard number ones, all the Guinness records, all the international awards. There is a reason why the story of BTS, the story of RM, the story of Jimin, keeps resonating in the hearts of millions of people all around the world. BTS began their journey as 7 young men from a small label that almost no one believed in. They had no backing from a major global label, no mainstream media connections, and no lavish marketing strategy. What they had was sincerity, talent, and a powerful bond with their fans. RM, a boy from Ilsan who taught himself English from old television series, who wrote lyrics about anxiety and philosophy, who visited art galleries in every city he ever traveled to, never tried to become what the world wanted him to be. He simply became himself, and the world eventually came to him. Jimin, a boy from Busan who once nearly lost his place at the agency because he was deemed insufficiently talented, who trained alone until midnight over and over again, proved that sincere, relentless dedication cannot be defeated. And that is why we, ARMY, have never stopped believing. Not because we are blind fans, but because we have witnessed with our own eyes what real perseverance actually looks like. So, ARMY, that is everything. All the facts, all the records, all the moments that make us proud, moved, and genuinely awestruck all at once. The BTS World Tour 2026 is already underway, with a schedule running from April 9th in Goyang, South Korea, all the way through September 6th in Inglewood, California, proving that these 7 artists are ready to dominate the world stage once more after nearly 4 years away. RM and Jimin, the 2 names the world is speaking the loudest right now, are not simply proving themselves. They are redefining what it means to be a global artist in the 21st century. And us? We have been here since the very beginning, and we will keep being here. If this video moved you and made you proud to be ARMY, please like, subscribe, and share it with every other ARMY you know. Drop a comment down below. Which moment from all the facts I shared today gave you the biggest chills? Until next time, Hybe Rm, Purple Heart.